right, Tom Sizemore died, 61 years old, slipped into a coma, I think about 2 weeks ago, brain aneurysm. I guess got taken off life support yesterday. And so I thought we would talk about what his legacy will be as a performer. And I think we'll talk about like the good, the bad, and the ugly of the guy, right? This will be now we're 34 minutes in and we're at our main topic. I'll argue, and anybody can jump in here, he was the best or one of the best character actors from the 1990s. I think in terms of the whole pantheon of character actors, he's up there with like a Warren Oates. Ernest Borgnine, right? Everyone kind of thinks of Ernest Borgnine as a doddering or dittering old man. But I mean, the guy was in the Wild Bunch. From Here to Eternity, he was the bad guy, right? And I think Tom Sizemore is that level of character actor. I think the only person that maybe in the 90s gave him a run for his money was Gary Oldman. So what are your thoughts, Matt? I know it's 5 people and I've been talking nonstop. What are your thoughts on Tom Sizemore? The good. Let's not talk about the bad or the sex tape. We'll get to all that. But let's talk about the good first. Okay, Matt?
All right, I'll be back in a half hour. Let me know when you get to the sex tape.
If you look at the run that he had in the 90s, it was incredible. I mean, every major director that you could possibly think of, this guy worked with. Spielberg, Oliver Stone, God, who else? I mean, I guess technically Scorsese, Tarantino wrote True Romance. I mean, Tony Scott was also a major Hollywood director as well.
Dennis Quaid. He worked with Dennis Quaid as a director.
True. And just the body of work.
Wyatt Earp.
That's right.
That was Lawrence Kasdan.
That was
the
Lawrence
director.
Kasdan.
Wasn't
And
it?
it was a
Yeah.
Kevin Costner production.
Wow, I was way off on that. Jesus Christ.
But just the body of work. You look at that list of movies. That's as good as it possibly gets in that era.
Let's throw out some clips. I have like 10 clips, starting with Harley Davidson. And go ahead, Stevie Lew.
Really quick. So I have a quick argument. Like, if you're going to put him and Oldman as character actors, I say that they had, both of those guys, especially Oldman, had starring roles that they
Oldman's far
went to have.
beyond.
Yeah. So
Let's talk about 19. I'm talking about specifically
In the
1991 to about.
yeah. Okay. Then yes,
99.
Not only do I agree with you, then I think that there will never be another Tom Sizemore type actor to ever grace our presence again, the way that Hollywood has evolved. That we'll never have another Tom Sizemore then, that he was that amazing and that much of a crazy person.
Yeah, it's like the character actors from like the 70s and the 80s and 90s. Now they're sort of on HBO, maybe, if anything, if that now at this point. Like there's no character. Now it's all Marvel movies and bullshit that Shane.
Well, yeah,
keeps
you're not
throwing his
allowed
money
to
at.
be a Tom Sizemore anymore. It's just not appropriate.
Right.
It's
Canceled.
like I know we can't talk about the bad right now, but that's to me what makes him such a good actor.
Mikey Shitted says Saving Private Ryan and Black Hawk Down were huge. Here's a clip I was going to say. Brian, I remember seeing this in the theater with you. Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man. I don't think I've seen it since I saw
watch it
in
once a year. This movie's so bad, it's so good.
Yeah, I've never seen it, so I guess I should.
So this is Sizemore plays ostensibly the bad guy, right? He's like the banker, sort of money. This was like, coming out of the 80s, greed is good era. And it's a futuristic movie, right? And like one of the Baldwin brothers is dressed in a black trench coat. I totally see Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man.
To kill you, but I do. I do right.
Might be a little low for people. Sorry. Of course, a helicopter shows up.
Yeah, it's Mickey Rourke as Harley Davidson.
It is
Think
Mickey
of all the
Rourke
cocaine they did on this movie set. Oh,
and Don Johnson, and that's one thing I should. That's the bad. That's the bad. First, we're going to celebrate his life as a performer and an artist. Okay.
What'd you do? You pay him?
No, man, that was your money. You paid him.
Nice.
Tia Carrera.
Has a little die hard to it.
RoboCop.
Little DC cat.
Not a green screen. So that's that. We got Mr. Be Nice, who's now my favorite chatter. He says, Saving Private Ryan was dumb. I wouldn't trade a Hanks for a Damon. Why would they save him? Just so he can steal luggage? I don't think Saving Private Ryan is a perfect movie. But and here's Sizemore, one of his early films. So I was reading his memoir, whose name escapes me. It's it's called By Some Miracle, I Made It Out of There. By Some Miracle, I Made It Out of There, a memoir. I'm on page 162. But so he's raised in Detroit. He gets involved in drugs even before he's in Hollywood, right? Drugs were a thing for him before he became famous. And the memoir, actually, I'm going into the bad a little bit, but Catherine Bigelow was really big to him when he started off. Oliver Stone, he was accepted almost immediately into the big time studio productions of the late 80s and early 90s. Here he is in an uncredited role, although there's a character name in the movie, in the Point Break.
There's
Yes.
2 keys.
This is incredible.
Crystal meth.
Special agent in Utah. I'd like you to meet Agent Dietz. Works for the DEA. He was working deep cover until you
think I
decided-
like this hair, man?
I like these clothes.
You think I like these clothes? My wife wants me to stay at Ramada. I've been working on these fuckers for 3 months! 3 months! Now I finally got him wanting to play Wheel of Fortune with me so I can find out who the suppliers is, and you fucking cowboys show up.
Nice tattoo, Deeds.
Oh, you like that, Panthers, huh? Fuck you.
Yes. We got John McGinley, Gary Busey, BYB podcast. He was similar to William Forsythe. Yeah. Go ahead, Steve.
He acts Keanu Reeves out the fucking room in that scene right there. You can see that Keanu Reeves does not know how to handle that properly. That energy that he brought was so real and raw. Like Spears said, his real mental issues come off in that scene. He actually grabbed his fucking hair and pulled on it, man. He sold the shit out of that. That was a scene that I wanted to bring up, and I'm glad you did.
Then we got BYB. Oh, I'm sorry. Beloved Chatters, loved one saying, is Michael Madsen in the discussion? Reservoir Dogs, Donnie Brasco, Wired Up. I for a long time, I think in the 90s, Michael Madsen and Tom Sizemore were almost the same person.
Tom Sizemore is the godson to Michael Madsen's, one of Michael Madsen's kids.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, no kidding. They were close. I didn't realize that.
Close. Well, yeah, because, those two guys are very similar, in the sense that their off-screen life feeds into who their characters are.
And Sizemore claimed that he was up for The Sopranos. Also, he had a history of lying, documented, ordered by a court to tell the truth. He was that level of a liar. But he claims him and James, because in the 90s, James Gandolfini was also sort of that big, swarthy, receding hairline Italian guy vibe.
And I'm sure there was a list of 30 billion people that could have been Tony Soprano. Because I know there was 3 other actors. There was 3 other actors that I know of that were rumored to be that character.
And I think we could all probably agree. Oh no, actually no. I'm going to misquote myself. But True Romance was a big deal for Tom Sizemore, where he had a small role.
Yeah, see, I think he's better in a small role.
Clarence.
Yes, that's
I'm kind of hoping that his tombstone will actually read, "You're an actor, motherfucker. Act."
Yeah.
Look at you, motherfucker!
He's bluffing you, Elliot. He's bluffing you. Can't you see that?
Come on, I want to hear you say. Clarence, you are without a doubt. Shut up! Say it, goddammit! I want to hear you say it. Clarence, you are without a doubt the dumbest motherfucker I've ever seen on the face of the planet. Say it! You dumb fucker! Apparently, I'm not as dumb as you think, all right? Apparently, I'm not as dumb as you fucking think I am I, huh? Come on, what the fuck is waiting for us up there, huh? What the fuck's waiting for us? Who's gonna shoot him? Tell me I'm gonna pump you in your face right here, right now.
It's not gonna shoot him.
Clear enough, motherfucker!
He's gonna shoot him.
Like Nick Carter used to say, if I'm wrong, I swear to God I'll fucking apologize, all right? Something's amiss, I can feel it. If anything out of the ordinary goes down, I swear to God, you are gonna be the first one shot. Clarence, he didn't do anything. What the fuck? Shut up, all right? I'm gonna blow this motherfucker away. Fuck you.
I wish somebody would just come and get me because I don't like this anymore. Get all of yourself, you fucking sissy.
And I wish somebody would just come and take me away. Just take me away.
Hang in there, Elliot. God damn it.
I can't face it. I'm sorry, but I just can't. And I know if somebody would just come
to my rescue, everything would be all right.
Elliot? Elliot?
What?
I'm sorry, all right? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Friends, I'm sorry, man. What's with this guy?
Playing around.
I'm going to I just had to be sure. That's all. That's all. I'm sure now, okay? I'm sorry, man. I didn't mean to scare you that way.
Oh, man. I like this Clarence kid. This fucking guy's crazy.
Go ahead, Stevie Lew.
So I got something on that. You picked the right scenes, man. Can you imagine? That's Quentin Tarantino's dialogue that they're reading off there, because that was his film. I don't know. They say that they kind of fucked up his original premise and work a little bit, but potentially that was Quentin's dialogue that Chris Penn and Sizemore are reading off there, doing a great job. There are several great scenes where it's Nicky Dimes is Chris Penn's character, and it's Cody Nicholson or something like that is Sizemore. And I think that's a better than good performance. That's legendary shit right there.
And you're like, I'm looking at Sizemore's IMDb on my other screen here. It's like Heart and Souls, right? I mean, that's a lot of chicks dig that. True Romance.
But he was like nominated, like Saturn nominated for that performance
Soul.
for Best
Yes,
Supporting
correct.
Actor in Hearts and Soul. That was like that was his big breakthrough in Hollywood, probably. Like, that got him more notice and got him all those directors' attention was that actual
Striking Distance, Wyatt Earp, and then Natural Born. And I'm showing these clips sort of in chronological order.
You can't skip over Natural Born Killers. Yeah. That was Seymour Scagnetti. That's probably the creepiest.
Also referenced in Reservoir Dogs.
Scagnetti, right? Yeah, Scagnetti. That Scagnetti fuck is a creep, man. He went for 2 rapes in that film, man. I can't think of many other characters in Hollywood history that went for more than 1 rape in a movie, you know?
Ian Hawk, this movie review podcast is all over the place in the description. Thank you, Ian Hawk. Scagnetti, yes, son of Billy Wagner. Scagnetti. Shane, you're a particular fan of Natural Born Killers. I know Brian is not. So maybe we'll have you guys duke it out for a second. Can you tell us what you like? Like, why because it's a special movie to you, from what I understand.
I saw it 10 times in the movie theater, and I don't know. I just think, like, film wise, it's amazing. The DP, Bob Richardson, who's considered one of the best DPs in the entire world, didn't want to do it, and Oliver Stone said, "If you do this, I'll let you use any single camera, any lens, any film stock you want." And he took it as, oh, I can do all these experiments so that for the future films I want to make. So it's interesting in that sense. I just like, I don't know, we're all part of the MTV generation, so I think it was like that to the heightened degree, so I dug that. And I like love stories a lot. But I can't really stand here and tell you to like something you don't like. I just know it connected with me.
Sure you can. That's the whole point of this podcast. We disagree with each other personally over movie review taste.
I saw it 3 times in the theater, but I saw it recently, and I don't think it's aging well.
Well, one thing that I'm wondering,
for me, it came out the same time as True Romance, and True Romance was the movie that I saw more. I saw that like 3 times in the theater. My only issue with I love Oliver Stone. But I think this is where he started, and it might just be that it's too MTV-ish for me.
It's a little over the top. I mean, looking back, it's cool. I mean, here's a scene, and I sort of.
But can I just say this? I think Tom.
You were supposed to speak after. We got Shane, and then we'll watch a clip, and then you defend your hatred for Juliette Lewis.
Go ahead, Scagnetti. We'll get us some silicone implants. I swear to God, I'll cut her fucking tits off right here, right now. Go ahead, you ain't got the balls. Shut the fuck up.
とても精力的な男です。
What's this? Hey, you like that? Okay! You're in my light, motherfucker! Hey, hold your fire! Hold your fire! Hey, hold your fire! Hold your fire! Don't kill him! Don't kill him! Fuck him! No! Do not kill him! What camera all you can mustard, yeah? Huh? You ain't that big a star yet, you cocksucker. Hold on, you're on. You and me, one-on-one. Let's go. Fuck you! Yeah, bring it! Bring it! Bring it! Try this cop killing. big shot. And nail that cop killer. Fuck you. Fuck yeah. Take that ass off his ass.
All right, so that's that. So, I mean, I like how there's the Native American guy. I mean, it's an Oliver Stone movie. There's got to be a shaman around a campfire somewhere,
They
which is
had just been bitten by snake poison and they were hallucinating. From
Oh, that's what it was. Okay. So, Brian, why do you hate this movie? That is.
I just don't think it's
touchstone for Generation X.
Well, see, I'd rather watch Wild at Heart. I think Wild at Heart does this movie better.
Great film.
Love that movie.
What is it? Badlands. I just thought this was over the hype. Although I do think Tom Sizemore is the best he's ever been in this movie. And I think the whole reason is I think this is literally he's not acting. I think that's just him.
Oh, and there's a story in his memoir I'll get to in a second.
I would say you were very close to the truth there. That's pretty much how he is in real life.
Yeah, like I just think that is like that's why I'll never forget the name Scagnetti, and it's simply because of his performance in that.
And we should say that Shane will be telling he worked with Sizemore on a film. We'll get to that in a little bit. I'll try to run through this because I wanted to play clips from Heat because I think Heat is his best movie, his best performance, and I love him in Heat. Beloved Chatter's Loved One says Oliver Stone's story about knowing that Woody Harrelson came from a very violent and traumatic background after meeting him just once is crazy.
Also, I'd love to see Woody Harrelson, like the Woody Harrelson today, play that role. I think he'd be much better. Because again, I think that opened up a lot of eyes for Woody Harrelson as well.
And do you guys agree that Heat's his best one? Because I didn't get a hey yeah from anybody.
I think he's great. I also think he's great in that cheesy Will Smith Gene Hackman movie. He plays a great scumbag mob guy in that. Again, it's just a very small role, enemy of the state. But I do think, of course, Heat's his best role.
Me, I go with Bringing on the Dead. That is my kind of under-the-radar Scorsese favorite, not out of his big films. That's one of the ones that really connected with me. And I think Sizemore is like all of his roles wrapped into really kind of one, and it's really unique, his take in that movie.
And that's
one of the movies I worked on with.
Oh, there we go. Christ. All right, so let's get to Shane's stories about Sizemore. I mean, I have 3 clips from Heat. I have Saving Private Ryan, Black Hawk Down, but maybe it's boring to go through all these clips. The chat can let us know, because what the fuck do I know? But all right, so...
Well, you probably got, for me, The Action is the Juice from
I did
Heat.
that, and the stop talking scene, where I just are here. I'm going to play this real fast, and then...
Time. Real tight crew, huh? Real tight. Yeah, this works good. I'd consider going again, Yeah, stop talking, okay, Snake?
I'll go fanboy mode. Just that scene, all you need to know about his character. It's Michael Mann. It's a spiritual sequel to Thief with James Caan. But all right, Shane, your moment in the sun. Save this podcast. I've picked too many clips. People are leaving us in droves. Tell us. Maybe now we'll switch to the ugly of Tom Sizemore.
It was the first movie I ever worked on, so that was like early, whenever that movie came out, 1999. And the cinematographer was Bob Richardson, who did Natural
Bringing
Born
Out the
Killers.
Dead. We're talking about Bringing Out the Dead.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I got him to sign this, and he said, "You're insane to love such an evil film." He didn't like it either, Brian. But yes, Tom Sizemore was there all the time. My job was mostly to hold the cones on the side of the street so they could park the ambulance whenever it came around the block and they were done shooting. So
what were you, like a PA? Is that
parking
what that's called?
PA?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm such a hardcore Nicolas Cage fan that I would stand across the street all night in the rain. I would get the sides, find out where they were the next night. And they finally just said, if this guy's going to stand here all night, we might as well give him a job. So they let me be a PA. And that was how I got into film. And then, so Tom Sizemore, the only memory I really have of him is, other than like, he just is him the way he is in his movies. He's just kind of that scumbag kind of guy. Him and Nicolas Cage sitting in director's chairs, and Nicolas Cage just kind of being like, and Tom Sizemore telling him all about the hookers that he was fucking the night before. And Nicolas Cage was married to Patricia Arquette at this point, so he was like a married man, and he just was like, had this look like, I wish he would stop talking, and he would just talk at him until they'd have to go film.
Now, was that, I mean, looking back, and I know this is an impossible question, but I mean, his character in the movie is like that too. He's constantly annoying and exhausted and burnt out Nick Cage. So was this method acting, or if you speak at the same time, we can't hear each other?
I know you could be right, but Nick looked really annoyed, but maybe he's, such a professional that he's getting into hating him.
And we have beloved chatters, loved ones saying, Bringing Out the Dead is an unbelievable movie, truly disheartening in every way. Yeah, and I love that scene with, what's his name, Ving Rhames. He did.
I know they did say, like, Tom Sizemore was very much like not methody, but he was definitely a huge researcher, so he would get really into his roles. But I do think, like, that's all, like, kind of for Premiere Magazine. I think, the guy enjoyed himself. I think those stories about the hookers is what Tom Sizemore really was doing.
Yeah, I do too.
As we found out much later.
Citizen M says, thank Christ that Criterion Collection has finally expanded into 4K Blu-rays. I just bought the Gone Fishing Steelbook. What was the other movie you worked with Sizemore on?
It was called Ring Around the Rosie. It was a low-budget horror film, probably around 2006 or something like that. But it was when he was with Heidi Fleiss. I remember he didn't wear underwear, so he would just drop his pants when they'd have to mic him, and you just see his dick and his Heidi tattoo, like right next to his groin. I remember standing there just being like, huh. And then he was always on fucking drugs every day. And they would have to be like, I was in art department, and they would just be like, make sure you have something totally different planned out that you can spend the entire day doing for 12 hours or whatever, in case we have Tom issues. And I can remember one time, like, he would just, it was so bad acting too, is what blew my mind. He's pretending in real life, and he would just be standing there, and all of a sudden he'd be like, ooh. And he'd fall, and he'd hit the floor, and they'd get the medics, and they'd come in, and they'd put him on a stretcher. Oh, Tom, he fainted on set. Oh, my God. And I remember I'm just standing in the corner like, what the fuck with this guy? And we make eye contact, and Tom Sizemore just goes and winks at me.
There's an actor named William Butler. He most famously was in the remake of Night of the Living Dead. He's also a director.
Texas Chainsaw 3, right?
Yeah, he was in Chainsaw 3, yeah. And then he's in one of the Ghoulies, too. I think one of the Ghoulies. But he became a director, and he directed the movie Furnace, starring Tom Sizemore. It was an epic. I read the article in Fangoria, and I think it has Ja Rule in it. It's got some other people in it. But Tom Sizemore, he said directing Tom Sizemore was such the biggest headache, because it's exactly what Shane is saying. Like, he would just do childish things just to, like, throw his weight around. And I knew other people that worked with him. Like, he did a couple movies in Connecticut, and a couple other friends that I know directed him. And that's the thing. Like, he could turn it on and be, like, okay, but drugs had taken his life at that point. You know what I mean? Like, I can't say if he was a good actor or not, because the movie choices he was doing, I don't know how you...
Well, you can't say that those are choices. Those were most likely out of necessity at that point.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you can't, when a movie's that bad, I don't care how good you are, it's hard to make it, any better. And usually, a good actor can do that, but, the drugs took over his life. But it was...
He became a true degenerate.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. Like, I like when he's a scumbag. I think he's awesome as a degenerate. That doesn't mean I really want to go have a beer with him. I mean, that's not true. I would love to get drunk with Tom Sizemore once. Oh my God, he's probably got great blow. But the other thing, it is that he's like, one time just to say you hung out with Tom Sizemore, but I don't know. Like, he is kind of a demeaning person, but that's why he's so good in those movies, in that certain era of movies. Yeah. He was unstoppable.
Here he is in Saving Private Ryan.
I don't think he's good.
Oh, spoiler alert.
Sarge! Mike, are you all right?
I just got the wind knocked out of me.
Get out of here! Take cover, we're gonna blow
Peace Doc says, remember he said Elizabeth Hurley had an affair with Bill Clinton? Yeah, it wasn't on the Stern Show, which is probably true, and Clinton probably no, I mean, Sizemore was also a noted liar. Go ahead, Stevie Lew. I'm sorry.
Brian, no, I wasn't even jumping in there, but I was going to ask Brian. You didn't like the scene where he confronts Ed Burns' character?
Listen, I just think Saving Private Ryan is. I mean, technically, it's a great movie. Fine, whatever. It's fine. It's a safe Spielbergian movie. I just thought like Tom Sizemore always seemed like an old guy to me. Like why he was too old to be in that movie. Plus, here's the other thing.
Fair.
He sobered up for that movie, and I think he's chubby. He's like.
He lost weight. He said in his memoir he was 180 pounds of pure muscle, Brian.
I don't know. That wasn't pure muscle, man. That was not pure muscle. Look. I like Aerosmith, but not in the 90s. You know, like in the 70s, they were the greatest band in the world.
Beloved like chatters loved them. Tom Sizemore, awful at taking cover and staying off of blow.
But and I think that's the problem. Like Saving, I don't know. Like he's not.
Well, I mean. He went on to do 3 more war movies after, he did, or 2 other. He did Black Hawk Down.
Well,
and
if you're going to say Pearl Harbor's a war movie.
No, that's so stupid.
All right, so then he definitely, one thing about his whole career, he had about 14 years on top. He was in A-list movies. And then looking back, he had about 19 years, especially at least the last decade when he was, barely scraping by and making direct-to-video stuff. And, he sabotaged his own career countless times.
He was caught twice using a prosthetic penis to get out of drugs.
Yeah, he was a true degenerate, a junkie, a woman beater, a general pain in the ass. He was on O&A. Let me see if I can do this. It's going to play automatically.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, he was on a bunch of times, but there was one, it's on YouTube, and it's titled, like, Awkward Interview. And he's in there to promote his memoir. See if I can find this right away.
You forgot to say Kid Diddler, allegedly, also.
True, yeah, we can get into that, too. Yeah, he was accused of touching an 11-year-old.
I wanted to make it honest, so I just get it all out there. And
yeah.
No more skeletons in the closet now.
Was there anything that you were talking about? Because I said to Tom in the break, I'm like, you really name names. Because meaning that you name the people. A lot of people don't do that. A lot of people don't mention.
I don't know. Name a name sounds like a punk to me, but I don't think I named names. I talked about certain people that had impacted my life.
Well, naming names, I mean, you simply.
I didn't say anybody like did drugs. Or
No. But you mentioned real people.
Shit. Well, the people that were in my life were real.
Still, how many people don't do that? When
I don't live in a fantasy world like our young people.
Right.
Or you can just say whatever you want on the internet and just slam somebody and then bomb somebody, whatever.
And then not have any accountability.
Go to a commercial.
Yeah. Right. No account.
But one thing I'll say about that, you hear him, he's given, Jim Norton is trying to ask questions about the memoir he's there to promote. And Sizemore, he says, Norton himself has a long track record of substance abuse issues, right? But has been sober forever. So it says, hey, you name names here. And Sizemore's like, no, I don't name names. Well, I've read 50% of his memoir. Every page he names names. He starts talking about Edie Falco. The entire memoir is drugs and sex on every single page. He talks about how Peter Green, Zed from Pulp Fiction, right? And Laws of Gravity, right? SUNY Purchase graduate with Edie Falco. How that guy got him into drugs. How he did drugs with Robert Downey Jr. How he was part of that crew at the Vipers, whatever the hell it was, where Johnny Depp River Phoenix dropped dead, right? The entire memoir is all naming. Elizabeth Hurley he had an affair with. He had an affair allegedly with Juliette Lewis when she was 18. The whole book is just a catalog of it. Is degeneracy a word?
It is now.
It is now.
So yeah, it's just a literal scum list. So it's interesting to hear him talk about that in that context where he doesn't want to talk about it. Also, I think it's kind of like listening to Artie. Where
I was going to say he sounds a lot like Artie. It's like, hey, it's the A&A show.
You're saying that those guys, they sound like addicts? Because you know what? I hate to fucking break down any fucking narratives here, but addicts are kind of pretty similar world round. An addict is an addict is an addict, man. Addict
just sounds like he's got a stuffy nose. That's what I was talking about, like a guy with a perpetual cold.
And just an asshole. Like, why does heroin turn you into an asshole on the radio? I don't know.
Because they're not supposed to be up that early.
But here's the thing that Stevie Lew mentioned and sent to me. I think me and Stevie Lew, can you guys see this, the USA Today? All right. So this was, he had this was a civil lawsuit brought against him by, at this point, a woman. She went back. It had been like 10 years before when she claimed that when she was 11, he touched her inappropriately. And you see that Pike's lawyer, Robert Sykes, Pikes was the victim, told USA Today in an email the dismissal was due to a ruling by the Utah Supreme Court, which upheld the state statute of limitations for sex crimes. So, like, that was one of the many things he had going against him. Brian, you had mentioned to me before we did this podcast that he had actually been, he's made sort of a comeback, but then he injured a stuntman. And I'm going to share that real quick.
Yeah,
too.
like it was on. It was what's his name? The Heat. Why am I? Help me out.
Michael Mann.
Michael Mann directed Robbery Homicide or something. Well, something like that. It was a TV show, Robbery Homicide.
Yeah,
Division.
Robbery Homicide Division. You're right. Yeah.
It was going to be.
Oh my God! Look at all these ads. Oh, I've reached our limit. But anyway, it was the USA show called Shooter. What it was.
Oh, is that what that? Oh,
another weird. Well, that was with Liev Schreiber, I believe.
Well, no, the
TV movie
show had the TV show had Ryan Felipe, and
You're right, you guys are right. Sorry.
So the thing was, I don't have it because I
he
guess
might
I
have
ran
done it
out
on
of clicks.
Robbery Homicide though too. He got into some trouble on that one.
So he's sitting in a car. The car's not supposed to move, and apparently, according to the Associated Press, Sizemore improvises, drives the car, and injures a stuntman because nobody was expecting this car to move. And then there were allegations, but never addressed, that he was drunk on set, and that was the whole reason the accident happened. So continual self-sabotage.
That's exactly what Shane was talking about. He was like, in case Sizemore goes all Sizemore and decides to drive the car that's not supposed to drive, be ready to make sure you're not in front of that tire because he might run you over. Apparently, they didn't have that safety meeting on the set of that movie.
Yeah, right. Beloved Chatter's loved one, a call back to a couple minutes ago. I think the word you're looking for is jealousy. What do you say? I want her to be. All right. Beloved Chatter's loved one. He can call me on my bullshit because we closed the bar at DabbleCon together in Rochester, New York. So he knows my dark secrets. Let's see what else is going on here. Mr. Be Nice. No one makes you do drugs. If they did, I'd hang out with them. Ooh, he injured a stuntman. Alec Baldwin is capping people on sets. Right. Yeah. So Alec Baldwin's really stepped it up. But Tom Sizemore had his say. That was from Beloved Chatter's loved ones. Mr. Be Nice, stop forcing these awesome and expensive drugs on me. All right, so he went on Howard Stern. Go ahead.
Carlos, really quick about that little kid situation there. I want to say, like, this was quite a roller coaster of a morning. I found out at first, because I fell asleep early last night, that he died. So I woke up to the news that he was dead. Then I watched a few clips of Saving Private Ryan and got a little, like, misty-eyed. Then I did a little research and found out that he was a child molester. Right, and that fucking blew my head.
Alleged.
Well, that's the thing.
Yeah.
At first,
never
I
convicted,
read
never charged with the crime.
I was going through his biography and read that first, and read the clip that it referenced, the article, original article from back when it happened, because there's a story about how it happened as well. But then read later that he was civil case was dropped, but then found out the only reason the civil case was dropped, it was due to the statutes of limitations ending. So that's like, what the fuck? My head was all fucked up. But here's the thing, right? So apparently on the set...
This was the investigation from the Hollywood Reporter back in 2017. Yeah,
right.
If
That's what I read.
It.
That's what I read that fucked me up, because there's this thing which I could see. Okay, so apparently when it happened, they were shooting just... Still photos,
photography, yeah.
Right. So, but everybody was on set, and the girl said something, and apparently all the PAs got together and wanted to beat the shit out of Sizemore. So apparently they all grabbed hammers.
Or were they trying to shake him down for drugs? We know the PAs are all drug
I could
addicts.
see, first of all, I could see me, Spears, and Shane all like passing hammers out to all the PAs to go get Sizemore for this. And also good on them for knowing they were going to probably need multiple hammers to take that guy down, because he was not going to go down, softly. They were going to have to take him down.
He probably couldn't feel his face anyway.
Whacked out on,
So, could you imagine being on the set for that, where you had to like form some sort of like fucking little bounty gang to go fucking get Sizemore for the diddling? That's wild.
Beloved Chatter's loved one. He mixed in sleeping with Elizabeth Hurley, an 18-year-old Julia Lewis, and then threw in an 11-year-old after I sent that son of a bitch. Yeah, at one point, like in his memoir, he talks about he had he had 3 relationships going on. Well, definitely, he kind of poses that he was a sex addict in addition to everything else. But what kind of did him in finally which is really sort of the first nail in his coffin, was Heidi Fleiss, the aforementioned Heidi Fleiss, the Hollywood madam, who's just like, I mean, talk about a piece of shit. But
that was a big no-no in Hollywood to even be associated with her at that point.
Yeah, and this is years after she's stood trial and all that stuff. He talks about how he met her. He had a crush on her. I guess first met her in 91, but he didn't have any money, and they get together and blah, blah, blah. Heidi and I started to fight about other women, but we fought about other things as well. When I went on Howard Stern to promote Black Hawk Down, I arranged for her to come with me so she could promote her book, Pandering. Heidi made a big thing on the air about how she didn't like Black Hawk Down, which was just the worst thing she could have done. So her going on this Stern appearance, first of all, Stern being the genius that he was, made it all about Heidi Fleiss and not.
Who would have thought that Heidi Fleiss would have been difficult? Shocking.
Right, like just, yeah. So I do have, let me see if I can get this to work. And this will be our last video, and I guess we'll then call it a day. Just some other ugly stuff about, oh no, we got to talk about the sex tape. We got to end with the sex tape. And then Shane's 3 movies. So, all right. So here he is on Stern. Now, the only way I could get this file to work was to not upload, but to have the entire thing. Everything else I clipped to a minute. So we might have to skip around a little bit. Just please bear with me. Let's see. This is Sizemore on Stern. Is this the one? Hopefully this is not something inappropriate.
Fucking footed, you ass wipe.
Mayday!
Hey now, Heidi Fleiss is going to come in here with her boyfriend. I think they might even be engaged.
I think so.
Tom Sizemore is with Heidi, which Tom Sizemore is like a major actor, and Heidi got him. And
he's a great actor.
It's a catch. I once asked Heidi, I said, how the hell did you get this guy? She goes, I don't know what he's doing with me.
I was going to say, I think this is indicative of problems.
Yeah. Tom Sizemore's problem. Yeah. We know Heidi has problems.
Oh, we know. Yeah, but if you go with Heidi, you got problems.
I'm going to ask him, do you have a problem?
Right this way. I get that. We just need you to shut the video camera off, please.
That's all right. For my homies in the pen.
She's annoying right off the bat.
What's up, guys? Homies in the pen.
Homies in the pen.
2 drug addicts.
No, come on.
How you doing? It's a one-way street. It is?
That's fine with that.
I like one-way streets. I know where I'm going. What's up, guys? Sex tips. Black Hawk
Yeah, and then
Down.
like everybody he dated, according to his memoir, like that, they had to be attractive, they had to be good in bed, and they had to use meth.
Hey, Tom, this is your first appearance, right? Yeah. Right there, please.
In studio here, it's Jimmy Kimmel and Artie Lang, by the way. So let me see if I can skip ahead, because it's a boring interview. That's the thing about Sizemore. Even on O&A, the times he was on, he was not a good guest. But in this one, he shows off the tattoo that Shane alluded to earlier as proof that Shane did, in fact, see Tom Sizemore's groin area. So let me see if I can get this to work.
I can show you guys on the doll where it is.
Say that again?
I can show you guys on the doll where his tattoo is.
I could show you on the clip from the movie, right? It's right here.
Feel free to talk amongst yourselves while I try to find this.
I got his autograph. I don't know if you can see it.
He was one of the actors that,
go.
like, at least 3 or 4 points of my career, like at 3 or 4 times, he was rumored to be in all the a movie that I was going to work on, and I never got to work with him. I actually would have been excited to work with him.
There's this Bill
even
Clinton
in those drug-fueled days, it would have just been cool to say I got to work with Tom Sizemore.
Well, I mean, Natural Born Killers is one of my all-time favorite movies ever, so I got him to sign that Scagnetti picture. And he told me the story. I thought it was a picture from the set, and he said that's him giving the finger to the press after he came out of Juliette Lewis's trailer the morning after they were doing drugs and having sex all night long.
She doesn't come off well in his memoir. Like, according, he has a lot to say about her.
On your groin.
In the Disney.
There it is.
Sorry,
Exactly the groin.
Do you shave your pubes? Is that what's going on over there? Tom,
no,
what's
he's
up?
like an Oriental.
Oh, really? You don't have much hair, do you?
That was the rule for her to move in. She had 4 rules. The take
Yeah.
2, don't lie to me, don't lie to me,
Nuh-uh.
and don't lie to me.
Do you have to do whatever I say?
All right, let me understand something now. So tell me what it's like if I get into a relationship with Heidi Fleiss. Do you bring other girls home into the bed?
Not yet.
We're a dud.
Do you have a lot of sex, or is she?
I'm terrible in bed.
Yeah, what?
I'm just curious what goes on with Heidi and Tom, and Heidi doesn't mind. She's an open book. I called her last night. I said, I heard you guys want to come on. She goes, let me call you back in 15 minutes. We're having a huge fight right now.
What did you fight about?
They always seem benign in the end, but we will. It's not. It's natural. And if someone's in a relationship and you don't fight, I think that's abnormal.
And we're inseparable. Which
Classic codependent relationship.
Yeah, they're messed out of their head there.
Yeah, like who used the last bump? That's what they're arguing about. They gotta go out and get more.
Beloved Chatter's loved one has the same train of thought. He's like, I am no expert on these things. But the 5 minutes before they left the hotel room, a record number of drugs were consumed with both hands.
Want to say his name?
No. Don't say his name ever. But Tom and I, we talk about our future, etc., and children. And
let me see if I can fast forward to because it's not a great interview, but she does start bad mouthing Black Hawk Down.
Come on, I showed Heidi
This
on
is
the
fascinating, man. I'm like, I can't take my eyes off these two.
Pediatrician. So
It's kind of like watching a Chad Zumach show.
I mean, look at my dad. You can't.
This
be
is like a sad Chad
responsible.
episode.
Do you guys hit each other?
Before Ski Mask got sober. I like this sober Ski Mask.
Yeah, that'd be hot. Two fist fighting each other.
He'd have no teeth.
All right, and the sex is good, Tom?
Hey.
It's all right.
It's the best.
It is the
What
best.
do you think?
Really? She puts
I'm
out.
in love for a lot of reasons.
Really?
She's the funniest broad I ever met. She's the brightest broad I ever met.
Tom Sizemore comes clean.
And she's a lovely, whatever that stuff you do after 9 o'clock.
That's
between 9
Fred,
and 6
right?
in the morning.
Fred Norris
She's,
playing the
she's
music
got a lot of
there.
stamina.
Yeah, probably. And then Artie with the one-liners.
Right, that's brilliant teamwork on that one right there.
Tom Sizemore outlived Artie. I mean, Artie outlived Tom Sizemore. Jesus.
Kidding.
And she's lovely. Hey, she made up Heidi where she got busted. She never ever drew in her life, never in retail.
And what's crazy about this, he's there to promote Black Hawk Down, Ridley Scott movie, all-star cast, and he brings on Heidi Fleiss. Like, they didn't ask for her. He brought her in.
Yeah, but that's his descent into, like, this is, that was probably, I mean, if you look it up, was that his last big Hollywood movie?
It's close. It's close. Yeah, and I
So
guess
Red
just the
Planet
fact, as
was
Matt
towards-
alluded to, the fact that he was mixed up with their
huge no.
The PR people were like, we want no part of this. And I believe shortly after this, he got arrested, I think, for assaulting her. And he got dropped by his management. I could be wrong, but I think that's correct.
Here, I got something
she's
for
a
you.
bomb.
Heidi.
Go ahead, Stevie Lew.
Right after around this time, he ended up doing Grand Theft Auto Vice City. He was one of the main voice actors. He did this guy Sonny in Vice City. So he was still finding work off screen, where clearly.
Listen, Ray Liotta did Vice City also.
Another problem. Let
me see if I can find. I'm going to fast forward a little bit.
Whack job. Heidi Fleiss is trouble. Her image is horrible. I bet you a lot of friends left you because they didn't want to hang around with Heidi. Am I correct?
No.
friends.
Hey, listen.
Yeah, no friends?
Everybody wants to hang around Heidi.
No, come on. Now, what?
It's like, yeah, you're hanging out with complete junkies.
I bet the friend she wasn't allowed to mention was Charlie Sheen. I'm just throwing that out there.
He fired the firm.
He fired them.
Yeah, so somebody told Tom Sizemore to drop her, and instead of listening to his management, he fires them.
He fired him.
Good. I like that you sat down and said, look, I need a real man.
It's all fired.
If you're going to sit and worry about...
I'm worried about what a magazine is. I'm worried about what the
You're
Star
fired.
is writing.
Right.
You're fired.
Obnoxious John says none of the actors got paid for Vice City. They got screwed. I wasn't aware of that.
And then fired.
That's a good move.
And then
Panic, cry, fire.
Oh, sorry, I just screwed that up.
Of the day, 60% of the day shutting Heidi up and telling you to shut
No, she shuts me up. I talk way too much.
Really? Heidi, you're very honest. Did you tell Tom you don't like the movie?
Right away.
Right
Doesn't
away.
seem like she likes Tom that much, really.
how far apart they're standing over there.
I really don't care about much.
Do you like Tom?
I love Tom.
You do. All right. We just want to make sure.
Look
All
at
right.
his. I spoil him rotten.
You do.
She does.
Yeah.
All right, that's enough of that. Beloved chatters. Loved one says, I'll let you in on a secret. She's a fantastic drug dealer and a below average girlfriend. Yeah, I would take those odds. All right, so let's wrap up here. Let me see if I can get rid of a couple of other things. All right, so in what year was it? 2005, Sizemore releases a horror film known as the Tom Sizemore sex tape. And I think Brian, you and I, we've known each other since we were little kids. Not to make this really weird,
Yeah,
but I believe.
Where's this going, dude?
You guys watched it together?
I believe we watched it together at your house.
I know for a fact we watched it together. Yeah. It was given to us. We got like a bootleg copy of it, and I was like,
when Tom Sizemore sex tape. You gotta watch it. What are you
I
gonna not
downloaded
watch
it off of BitTorrent.
No,
See,
we
I-
don't know how to do.
yeah.
Wait, did you say you did that, Matt?
Yeah, I downloaded it off of BitTorrent.
Dishonest bastard. But in terms of, I mean, I'm no judge of celebrity sex tapes, but I am a movie critic, right, for the purposes of this broadcast. It's disturbing.
Yeah.
I mean, he's playing one of his characters. That's why I'm saying he's Scagnetti, man. He's totally. I think
I don't
that's.
think I saw it, guys, so you might have to describe it.
Well, that's the
Play
thing.
it.
You're not
Just
missing
play
much
it.
sex. It's just him doing meth with a bunch of weird chicks, and then it's just him talking. So it's fascinating on that aspect.
And at the time, he's got criminal charges pending from Heidi Fleiss. And so he stops and he's having threesomes with these prostitutes. And then he'll stop, or whilst he's having a sex act performed on him, he'll turn the camera on himself and go on a rant.
And then he just
Chad
screams
Zumach
at one
style,
point.
Like, you know how Chad does those? Like, he must be copying Tom Sizemore about how like Heidi's wronged him and he's innocent and all this insanity. And I also forgot to mention the scene in Natural Born Killers where he kills that sex worker. Everyone remember that? Where it's revealed that the Sagnetti is a serial killer. He was totally actually on blow during that exact scene. The cocaine that he consumes in that scene, according to his memoir, was all real. So he was definitely high out of his mind that entire movie, as Shane had kind of alluded to earlier.
He's in like some silk skivvies, covered in sweat, choking
Dude,
a hooker to death. That makes total sense.
Beloved Chatter's Loved One, one of the few sex tapes I actually watched. Man, it's fucked up. Yeah. Are we talking a BYB podcast? Are we talking about Hunter Biden or Sizemore now? Oh, great. Now I'm going to get like flagged somehow. Mr. Be Nice, faptastic. All right, let me see if I can bring it up. This is Opie and Anthony talking about Tom Sizemore's sex tape. I got to go to video file. Here it is. And this was a 20-minute discussion that I just sort of condensed to a couple of minutes.
Problems.
He went out with Heidi Fleiss too, right?
Very briefly.
Very briefly.
Oh, yeah, let me just see one thing. Also claimed to have sex with Paris Hilton at the time. A lie. Yeah, and I think there was some type of lawsuit where he had to admit that was a lie, that he never had sex with Paris Hilton. Also claimed that he had sex with her when she was like in her teen years.
Well, yeah, like I think that was the other thing. It would have been like if you did the math, it didn't look good for him.
Mr. Be Nice, did you watch the Tommy Lee tape for Tommy?
Had a few problems with the cocaine. He seems to like the cocaine.
The booze.
The booze. He's had some domestic problems. Been arrested for him, jailed.
Wait, who's he
On
talking
probation,
about?
He violated that probation, or is it parole?
Oh, wait, was that? Okay, sorry.
That you violate. I don't know. Maybe it's both.
All right, so he decided
Who's
to make
this
what?
guest?
Sex
Do you know
tapes?
who the guest is?
Yeah, I think.
Wait, what?
Who is
No,
the guest
that's Anthony. Oh!
They're
They said
talking
his
to
name,
somebody.
Macaroni John. I'm not
okay.
familiar with the
Sorry.
AOA
That was
ONA
not
lore.
worth me stopping. I'm sorry about that.
No, that's okay. I had his name, but I didn't write it down. Beloved Chatter's Loved One says, from the Vivid Sites, Sizemore entertains multiple ladies as he brings them to screaming orgasms the only way Sizemore can. Sizemore will keep you watching, if only to see what he does next.
Nice.
These were made in, I think, 2003. He makes reference to that at some point in the tape, and I'm sure at the time he wasn't planning on releasing them publicly, but he was videotaping himself having sex with Hollywood hookers, which are essentially porn stars, and or porn actresses, and they stupid phone.
So how did the tapes get out there?
Tom Sizemore is broke and needs money. He's going to jail for violating his parole. And he's in rehab now, I think, and he needs money. That's the reason. That's the only reason tapes that are this long with this much footage on it get out is because the person that's in them had some intention of releasing them and making a profit off them. These are very, very brutally graphic.
He looks all drugged out and stuff.
Yeah,
I think that was Danny
Well, we
Ross.
got the audio.
No, the guy talking with Steve C. That was their
Oh, that was
original
Steve C.
producer.
Steve
Yeah.
Carlisi. Yeah. I thought it was either Danny or Steve. You're right. Yep. Good
And
call.
there's some classic audio here. The first one.
I mean, what I kind of like about this discussion here is that Opie, to me, takes the sensible view, like, wow, this guy's desperate and sad, and this is disgusting. And Jim Norton, of course, is all over it, like it's the greatest, like it's a Disney movie.
When Tom introduces himself, what's this about, Steve?
just a brief little introduction to establish who the person in the thing is, and he's, sort of mumbling. Obviously, it helps to have the video in front of you when you're watching it because his eyes are all glazed over.
Right.
He's, his big bags under his eyes. He's obviously been up for a few days.
They know they're being filmed, right?
This is not hidden camera. He's holding the camera and pointing it at his face. And some of these, it's a 2 or 3 camera shoot. He's got porn chicks on either side of him operating cameras while he's eating ass.
The only
or,
movie he
getting
directed.
a rim job. So this is not hidden camera work.
Wow. All right, let's start with the first clip.
My name's Tom Sizemore. I didn't do it. I deny all culpability. I wasn't there. It hasn't been even remotely fair. Okay? So stick around.
But first, here's track 3. He's trying to tell
Rest
everyone
in
how
peace,
smart
Tom
he is.
Sizemore.
Yeah. It's been my experience, and I'm not saying I'm smart.
Oh, by the way, as he's making this speech, a female is performing fellatio on him.
I'm not very smart, but I'm not stupid. Like I know, like Thomas Jefferson wrote the Declaration of Independence. He didn't write the Constitution. See, that was a whole bunch of guys. Alexander Hamilton, Thomas Paine, Benjamin Franklin, a whole bunch of cats. They were called the Founding Fathers. How about that? And they wrote it by where? What city? Philadelphia.
Moaning a little,
Oh, he's kind of
creepy. Yeah, where'd you... His moaning takes me right out of the game.
No, see, I don't mind it because he's not talking.
Wow, he is gone.
Creepy, man.
I love him.
Fallen.
I love him, dude.
Why do you love him?
Because he's just a raw, trying to dump a load male. How do you not? And he's such a good
How
actor.
do you love him, man?
Jim can totally relate.
He's obviously very desperate and very sad.
Anyway, all right. That was audio from the O&A show as they listen to, and I, of course, go find that video or go find that clip.
Oh, I thought you meant the Tom Sizemore
Or
video.
you could do that, too.
Or
It
you
is-
could just come over. It's playing on a loop all weekend.
I might still have it on a hard drive somewhere.
He claimed
No.
that Juliette Lewis never liked to leave her house when they lived together and that she would play pornography on a 24-hour loop.
24-hour loop, yeah.
The weird thing about that is that she was raised a Scientologist, and drugs are just a big forbidden thing in Scientology, which is why it's very hard for me to believe any story that he has about her.
He claims that Scientology came and saved her. They sent her to some type of Scientology rehab, and then she at the writing of his 2003 memoir, she was sort of out of Hollywood. Also, but watch your I think Yellow Jackets season 2 premieres this week. Go check out Juliette Lewis on Showtime.
Also, she's well documented that she's had her issues as well.
Hell yeah, and who hasn't?
And,
All right.
and her father is amazing. Her father
Yeah.
is an amazing actor, and look
Well,
him
he's
up
dead.
on Way of the Gun. I know, but
Jeffrey
he's still an amazing actor.
Beloved Chatter's loved one says Tom locks himself in 5 crack whores in a hotel room, a lot of drugs, and a lot of whipped cream. Yep. Beloved Chatter's loved ones, you get to watch them fail to get hard for an hour and then perform oral sex on each of which looks more disgusting. Yeah, it's not. I mean, I don't even know.
Well,
I'm
listen,
not
you're
gonna
not
go
watching it for the sex. Listen,
No.
as a connoisseur of celebrity sex tapes, you're very rarely watching. You're usually checking to see what they have in their house and stuff like that. So the whole purpose of watching the Tom Sizemore sex tape is it is a moment of madness that you're watching somebody that should have a career just sink it. That's why what fascinates me is like, why are you doing this?
It would definitely be
so-
one of those. It would be a video that if you clicked on it, it would be removed from whatever service you're trying to get it from these days, if you know what I mean. Because it's over the line in a lot of ways. I think there would be safety issues, and the identity of the people in there, other than Tom Sizemore, is weird. I'm actually surprised it's still available.
But that was at the apex of the celebrity sex tape phenomenon.
Yeah.